Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're gonna somewhat speed model a crate inside of Maya in I don't know how many minutes, but we'll find out. All right, let's dive right in. All right, I already got Maya booted up here, so let's go ahead and model our crate. I'm just gonna rough in a box. I don't really know how big it's gonna be, but this is gonna be kind of like a vertical kind of crate. So let's do height, maybe 140. Let's change the width, maybe let's do 100, and then let's go 50 for the depth. And then let's zero this out, 0, 0, 0. And then we do want this to sit on the home grid, so we need to do our math there, just 70. Okay, so now we're sitting right on the home grid. We're zeroed out. If we don't want to touch any of that again, we can just do edit, delete by type history. So that clears all of that data out. So we're good. We can't really touch this anymore. Okay, so let's see what this crate will actually look like. So I kind of made one earlier, and that's kind of what I'm going to reference just on my other screen. This kind of medical crate, I guess, almost like a gas can style where you kind of carry it vertically. Okay, so let's chop into this. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my modeling toolkit. And you can't see that, but I'm using multi-cut down here. Okay, so multi-cut, let's cut right through the midpoint. So hold down Control and Shift. It'll cut right through that midpoint. So that works. So now what I can do is use symmetry pretty much right away on this object. So anything I do on one side will happen to the other side. So let's go see now that we have kind of these two sides. Let's go look at object X, and that's perfect. So now I want everything I do to one side to happen to the other side. So that's good. I can leave that symmetry on. Let's stay in edge mode and let's make some more cuts here. So we're not going to be super specific on this one, but let's start at the top and kind of work our way toward the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and go to face mode here, out of multi-cut. Go ahead and select this top face. Let's go ahead and just bevel it right off the bat. So we got a bevel on the top of this. Let's give it a slightly larger bevel there. Okay. We know we're going to have some kind of handle to carry this from the top, so I will kind of punch in that handle. But let's see kind of what details that we want around this object. So I'm kind of thinking there's going to be a large section extruding from the front, and then some smaller sections extruding and going around the back. So that's kind of the object that we're looking at. So let's go ahead and chop it up. So I'm going to use that Connect tool here. I really like that Connect tool in edge mode. So you can see I can select through this and it can go horizontal, or maybe I can select this portion and it'll kind of go vertical. That's probably going to work for me for most of the things that I want to do, and mine are going to be actually horizontal. So I'm going to have kind of this bigger section kind of going through the middle, and then 3 smaller sections going to the bottom. So let's just do this one kind of at the midpoint, right through the middle. Go ahead and hit enter. Now the cool part about any of these edges, if I double click those, I can actually hold no shortcuts down. I can move these edges. Now I can't go past where there's already a current edge in any direction, but if there's no edges in there, I can move these within that 3D space pretty easily, which is really nice. Okay, I don't want to do that. All right, so I'm just going to kind of rough this in maybe near the middle there, and I'm going to use that bevel tool. I like using that bevel to kind of split an edge into two. So it's a really fast way to split what would be a complex edge and kind of split that into 2 edges. Okay, so this portion is kind of wrap around the top. I'm going to have 3 sections near the bottom there, so let's make that a little bit smaller. Let's do 0.3. Okay, and then I'm going to have a large section kind of punch right through the middle. So let's do that one as well. Let's double click this. Let's do another bevel. That looks pretty good. So we're just kind of roughing out all the spaces here. I'm going to hit enter and make sure that one's done. And now I want 3 of those on the bottom as well. So I'm going to go ahead and rough all those in. Connect. I know that I want 3. Those are going to be nice and evenly spaced on the bottom. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And we're going to bevel all 3 of those as well. And those are going to be much smaller than this other version. This piece here. So let's do 0.3 for that. Maybe 0.4. Perfect. Okay, now we're ready to start extruding this object up. We have pretty much everything basically where we want it. We don't have the cuts for the handle yet. We can do those at the end, but let's go ahead and do some extrusions here. All right, let's go to face mode. Now you notice on object X, I want the front and back to be different, so that's perfect. So object X is actually not selecting the back, which is good, because I want just this big section in the middle here. And I actually could have done that extrusion first, and then I wouldn't have had to click through that so many times. If I would have done this extrusion basically in the beginning, that would have been a little faster, but you know, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and do a small offset in this to kind of push this in. Okay. And then maybe let's go extrude. Let's go in the negative a little bit first. Okay. So now we've got this little valley there. Let's go ahead and push that back a little further actually, so we can see that. Let's go ahead and extrude again. Let's do another offset value. Okay. And then let's do extrude again and pull this value out, or this piece out. And maybe not, let's go past. Yeah, let's go out further. Let's go past everything out here. Okay. And let's go ahead and just hit bevel, see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. The value of 0.1 seemed to work out perfect. So now I have this little bit of visual intrigue in here as this kind of goes in and out. Let's do this portion next. We're going to go all the way almost around the back of this. Okay, we're going to leave this back kind of as the opposite of what we just looked at. But let's do that pretty much the same way. Let's do extrude. Let's do a slight offset. Click the extrude button again. We can either go into the negative of this object and kind of create it like that, or we can go out to the positive, kind of push this out, and I'm going to go out towards the, actually let's do the same thing. Let's kind of go in and let's go out again. So extrude again, offset value. You got to be careful with this offset, but that looks pretty good. Extrude again, offset value. So we just really quickly created a little bit of visual interest and then bevel. So it's almost like that same thing over and over again. Okay, this is really hard surface modeling kind of at its core. Let's do these three all at the same time. 1, 2, 3. And let's do the whole party. These are all going to be the same. Okay. Let's go ahead and do an extrude again. I like to start with that offset just a little bit. Hit the extrude button again. Let's do thickness. I think we went in last time just a little bit. That looks pretty good. Hit extrude again, offset. Hit extrude again, thickness. Now you'll notice on this, thickness goes straight out. It does have an offset in the Z, which could be cool in some instances if you wanted some, you know, maybe those are fans or fins or something like that, and they needed to be a little bit non-uniform. For mine, I'm going to keep it pretty uniform, so I'm not going to use that value. But I want these to go out the furthest, because they're the smallest, so they go out the furthest, and then they're going to get beveled as well. Okay. They actually went out a little bit too far, but I think it's fine. I probably wanted to keep those a little closer to home, but that's okay. I still like it. Okay, this is looking kind of fun. Has this kind of decent amount of visual intrigue. Now, how do we carry this thing? So this is like some kind of canister that holds something. We need some kind of handle up top here. So that's what we'll do next. Let's just go ahead and select the top of that, extrude. So I'm using the same tools every single time. This time I'm going to switch to the scale tool and just scale this in this direction. I could make another cut through this whole object to make that, but I don't really think I need to. I can probably get away with it this way. And let's go back to extrude, and let's pull that straight up. Now I was having a large amount of success with that offset, so let's maybe do a slight offset again too. And maybe this one, let's keep the offset, so then as this comes up, it's kind of beveled a little bit. I like that. So like most of the weight of the handle is kind of pushed to the side there. Let's go all the way up. Let's make a pretty short handle. Hit extrude again, a pretty short handle there. And now this portion I can click on both of these faces and just click the bridge button, and it'll connect those, and there my handle's done. And I'm just going to do a slight bevel on the top of this. Maybe, there we go. That looks pretty good. So I got my handle, kind of goes through. I could add a little bit of visual interest here. I hadn't planned this, but I think it could look cool. Offset, again, just dragging that slider. Hit extrude again. Thickness, maybe let's push that in there. I don't know, maybe you put your cell phone there, or your keys, or while you're carrying the object, you can drop something in this little canister and say, hey, don't lose that. I need whatever I put in there. So again, this is that point where I'm just kind of, I have the design. This was my original design. It's done. But then I'm like, okay, I want to add a little bit more. What does that more look like? So really you want to plan this out before you get to this stage, because I think this is kind of where you can get yourself into trouble sometimes. But sometimes you can just come up with some cool stuff. This is kind of like that, sorry, I'm out of focus. There we go. This is like that 3D doodling is kind of what I call it a little bit. So let's just do some more 3D doodling. This is kind of, let's get some intrigue on the back there. So we're just kind of selected almost these every other. We really like that offset. That's working out for us really well. Click the extrude button again, thickness. Let's go into this object. Okay. Let's do click extrude again. Let's do another offset in there. This is going to be fun to unwrap. And let's just maybe push this out just to, actually let's not do that. Let's go extrude and then just straight in. I just added a whole bunch of extra unwrapping to this object, which might not be the most fun, and I don't know that it really added much to this object. But it does have some visual intrigue to it, so it's kind of carried up here. I don't know, has something here. Maybe there's like, this portion does something. I could try one more little piece here just to see what this will look like. I'll just select this. I think I'm 10 minutes. I was on 10 minutes, so that was pretty good when it was done. Oh, I kind of like that. Kind of pushes straight out from there. Kind of coming out from that bevel looks kind of cool. And then let's offset that again, maybe. And let's push it back in. So it's this kind of over and over kind of repeating. And it's really just the extrude tool and the bevel tool. So I used the bridge tool once, so it's really just two tools to kind of get to something like this. I'm at about the same amount of way under 700 polygons, which isn't bad at all. I think it looks kind of cool. Let's turn off that. Let's kind of see what it looks like here. Got some visual intrigue. I can see what this looks like in the Arnold renderer just to kind of get a peek at it. So we got a couple minutes left. I should save it before I do that. File, save scene. Maybe we'll try and unwrap this one. This is crate. Vertical. Okay. Let's just add a little bit of the Arnold render in here. I'll just make a ground plane. Go to Arnold. Let's just throw in that skylight, and then I can just go right here under renderer and change this to Arnold. And I broke it. No, it should be okay. There we go. So all those little extra areas that I made, you can see that just gives it a little bit of visual intrigue, because the light and shadow is just kind of going into those areas, which actually makes it kind of fun. Let's just go ahead and manipulate this light. Let's give some angled light so we can see what it looks like in the shadow, and then within those kind of highlighted areas. So that's kind of fun just to see the object. So yeah, I kind of like the way that turned out. I think these actually got a little bit too thin on my reference sketch. Previously these were a little bit thicker, but it is what it is. See how that back turned out? I actually ended up kind of liking these. Could put something in there, warnings or stickers. And the other portion that I think might look a little bit better is I think this could actually come out a little bit further as well. So I might make those two changes and then I'm going to call it done. I'm just going to delete my render elements there. Go back to face mode. I think just this, and this. These just need to come out a little bit further. So I can do that back in my modeling toolkit. Let's go ahead and just extrude those back out a little bit. I think they would just look a little better, just a little beefier. Whoops, I missed the other side. Oh, I turned that off, so I need to turn on my symmetry, Object X. So then I only have to do that one time. Whoops. Make sure I do that before I actually select that. Okay, let's try that again. Extrude, thickness. Yeah, I like that a little better. Just makes it a little chunkier at the top. And let's do another bevel. Small bevel on that. Those bevels are going to be fun to unwrap, but I think the object looks actually pretty cool. Okay, this one's pretty much done. So let's go ahead and go out of this mode. Now we have all of this information. For every time I click something, all this information is housed within Maya. We don't want that. We want to be done with this. So we're done with the object. We've saved it. If we're totally done, we can do File, Increment, and Save. This will just save another version of what we just worked on. So it'll be like version 2. And then we're going to do Edit, Delete by Type History, and then Modify, Freeze Transforms. Whoops. Maybe make sure in object mode. Edit, Delete by Type History. Everything's gone now. And then Modify, Freeze Transforms. And that zeroes everything out. So everything's zeroed out here. There's nothing, there's no information in the shape nodes or anything like that. We're pretty much done. The object's zeroed out. It looks pretty good in the renderer. Next thing I'll have to do is unwrap it. So that was like 15-ish minutes. Oh, 16. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed it. See you next time.